What's up? I'm Oakleigh, aka Oak Tree Fairy with Dizzy Arts. Shout out to Dro TV for having me on today. It's a super fun interview.
Welcome to My First Time, the show about your first time getting high on marijuana. I'm your host, Mike Freeman with Dro TV. Today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Oakleigh. How are you?
What's up? I'm amazing. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. You can find more of Oakleigh on Instagram and Twitter at Oak Tree Fairy. And you've got a lot going on, so why don't you let our audience know where you're located, Oakleigh, and a little bit about yourself.
Cool. So I'm located on the panhandle of Florida in a little town called Pensacola. It's actually the first town that was founded here in America, fun fact, by the Spanish. I moved here almost 10 years ago, and I just started working with Dizzy Arts last year. And boy, have we just picked up and been going crazy. We have been doing a lot of interviews on Twitch. That's another place that you can find me at twitch.tv/the Dizzy Arts. We do a lot of interviews. So it's kind of weird for me to be interviewed today because I want to just like ask you a bunch of questions because you're like, do you have any questions for me before we start the show? I'm like, actually, yeah, I have a bunch of questions, but I have to just talk about me, which is like weird.
No worries. We can always set something up in the future for Twitch if you'd like.
We would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So Oakleigh, the show is My First Time. We want to hear about the first time you got high, please.
All right. So I wasn't born in Pensacola. I grew up in and around Atlanta, Georgia. And there is a massive piece of granite sticking out of the ground northeast of Georgia called Stone Mountain. And that's where I lived, like right outside of there. And that's the first place I ever smoked weed on top of Stone Mountain, or as I like to call it, Stoned Mountain.
Okay.
And so I grew up in private schools, church, and my mom, like whenever she told me about weed, I was probably like 12, and she's like, you know, if you're ever like out and you see people like smoking like a little rolled up like stick looking thing, that's weed, and you need to be really careful around that. And it made no sense to me. I'm like, what are you talking about, a little stick? Okay, cool. So I went to public high school all 4 years, like going from private to public, and it was just such a shocker to me. Like the first day of public high school, I'm walking in and there's a guy in front of me, and I was expecting him to hold the door open for me because that's what I grew up with, and it just slams in my face. I'm like, okay, this is the real world now. So freshman year, I didn't cuss, I didn't drink, I didn't have sex, I didn't smoke weed, I didn't do anything. I was like, I'm gonna be the light in this high school, in this dark, dark place. I'm gonna show these kids what it is to be a Christian. And sophomore year happened. And I was like, all right, fuck this shit, let's have fun. I felt like I did my due diligence, and it wasn't fun to be a goody two shoes. And the person that I met my very first day of freshman year, Matt, he walked into science class, and I was the new kid, and he saw me immediately and was like, who is this? Comes and sits next to me, and we were just instant friends. And so when I found out that he had tried weed sophomore year, I was like, how, why would you do such a thing? Like, why would you put this in your body? And he's like, it's fun, like it relaxes you, whatever. And I was just like so upset at him. And then he was like, well, maybe you should try it, you know, like come hang out with us. So it was me, Matt, Trip, and Gilbert, and Brendan. I think there was 5 of us, me and a bunch of guys. And Trip, was it Trip's mom? I guess Trip's or Matt's mom dropped us off at Stone Mountain. We're like, yeah, we're gonna have a picnic on the mountain at like 5 p.m. right? And I tell my mom, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go have a picnic with my guy friends. She's like, we're gonna go have a picnic at 5 p.m. on Stone Mountain. I'm like, yeah, it's what teenagers do. Like I'm the firstborn, so I just told her whatever. She's like, okay, whatever. And so we hike up there, and I didn't know that we were gonna smoke weed. I just had like a hunch. I was like, maybe, and so we get to a little spot, and they pull out the bowl, and they also had a bubble wand.
Okay.
And so what they would do, they're like, this is what we do. So they would inhale it, and then they would blow bubbles with the smoke. So it looked like little pearls floating. And so we were watching the sunset, and they get me to hit the bowl. They're like holding it for me and trying to get me to hit it. And like I didn't inhale it right. And they're like, yeah, yeah, you feel it? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, you don't. You did not inhale that right. And I'm like, yes, I did. I'm so high. And they like run off into the woods and find sticks and start fighting with each other, boy stuff. Um, that was the first time I smoked weed. And the first time I got high was with a bubbler.
Okay.
And that shit, I was like, oh, that's why people smoke weed.
Nice.
Oh, uh, that's where I envision a ramp. Like whenever you smoke something, you're getting on a roller coaster, right? So there's tobacco, and then there's weed, and then there's DMT is like all the way just off the ramp completely. But yeah, I hit a bubbler. I had like snuck out on a Saturday night, not with Matt, with another guy friend, and they were hitting the bubbler just like sitting in somebody's backyard. And I inhaled it right, and I went to space. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. And I was 16, no, 17. Yeah, 17. So I've been smoking weed for 10 years now,
Nice. Awesome.
longer than I've been driving.
Hey, well, I'd say everyone should do it as long as they can, but at some point, you're too young to do it, maybe. But we all grow up and realize that certain things we're told in life aren't true. And it takes you figuring that out either by means of partaking or just realizing that my eyes aren't matching what my brain was told. So
Right. And I do think that like 16, 17 is too young. Maybe I could have waited till I was 18. I think that would have been better for my brain. But I mean, I also thought it was going to be like a phase. I thought I was just going to like phase out, like cigarettes. Like I literally only smoked cigarettes for a year, if that, because I was like, this is lame. Like I only did it because it was cool, but I genuinely love smoking weed. Like, and now I just got a job in the cannabis industry. I'm going to be a bud
nice.
tender,
Awesome.
and I'm so fucking stoked. Like I got kicked out for smoking weed at the end of 17. My mom was just like, she's like, you're sneaking out, you're smoking weed, this is annoying, like go live your life. And I'm like, okay. I ended up moving back in like the next year. But it's just it's just wonderful to be able to accept that it's not dope, like that's what my dad would call it. He's like, you're smoking dope, you're making bad choices. I'm like, it's weed, it's my medicine, it makes me happy, it makes me not want to hurt myself, it makes me eat food, and it makes me stand y'all. So like I'm you know
Yeah.
and I'm glad it's not a phase. I'm glad that like it really is an important part of my life, and that other people feel the same way, because I my mom made me feel like I was crazy for smoking weed. And I'm like, I'm really not. Like, there's other people. I'm certain there's other people. So,
Yeah. Uh, it's slowly, eroding the stigma. More and more every day we hear from and see people that, I have a neighbor. She's like, I think they were smoking weed over there. And I'm like, yeah, so, and
probably.
she's like, well, I mean, it's legal now. And I'm like, well, somewhat. I said, but, okay, well, why did you say it like that? And she's like, I don't know. I'm used to, I would always catch my son smoking. And I'm like, well,
They're
how's your
smoking
son?
dope.
Yeah, I'm like, well, how's your son? She's like, well, he runs a bar. I'm like, okay, so he's not like a
So it's
deadbeat on
fine.
the street. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so, and she's like cool with it, fine with it. But the way she said it, and she's like in her 50s. So I think she's like borderline, grew up with the propaganda, but now realizes
Yeah.
it's not as bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not that bad. In fact, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it could help you. But yeah, so I mean, it's, it's funny what, and most people who repeat or spew the propaganda, they just know nothing themselves. They're just repeating what they've been told. It's not like, I tried heroin, I had a horrible experience, and I'm telling you from personal experience. No, most of the people who like shit on weed, they have zero experience.
Right. Right. And people who don't like weed, they're like, I don't, they're like, I don't smoke weed.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
makes me, they're like, it's fine. I just don't
yes,
smoke it,
yeah, exactly.
which is so funny.
Yeah. So let's talk about Oak Wear.
Hmm.
Tell us how you started this.
So I'm obsessed with thrifting. The thrift store is my happy place. And I find the coolest shit when I go to the thrift store. So I just decided to start a store of my own. And a lot of the things I've taken and taken apart and sewn back together and made new items. I only have a handful of those pieces just because I started sewing like a couple years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, so I sell clothes, and then I'm also running local clothing swaps. So it's the idea of a circular economy where you don't have to have money to get something new. You just bring what you have, a bag of clean clothes that you don't really vibe with anymore, like you're taking it to Plato's Closet or something, and
Sure.
you bring it to the clothing swap and you could swap it out for somebody else's things that they don't want anymore. And so, yeah, I do that around town. Um, Make clothes, wear clothes, sell clothes, and just trying to raise awareness about how fast fashion has affected our earth. It's really bad, and with the rise of Shein and what's the other one, Romwe, there's a couple like really big fast fashion brands that their model isn't sustainable, and people are probably going to die in the factories soon, unfortunately. Just because they are so new and so many clothes are being produced at such a fast rate, and it's not okay. So I'm trying to raise awareness about that, and keep clothes out of landfills and patch them together and put them on our bodies, because that's how we express ourselves. That's how I express myself anyway. And I want other people to be comfortable wearing their heart on their sleeves, because it's not as scary as you think. Like, I've definitely put myself out there a whole lot this year, and I've learned so much from all of the shortcomings and failings that have happened. But every time I do a clothing swap, I meet the coolest people, I get the coolest clothes, and I just leave feeling good. Like, all of this I'm bringing tomorrow to a market here in Pensacola, and this is all swappable stuff.
Awesome.
It's like 20 plus pieces. So yeah, that's what I'm up to, and smoking weed.
So is it like like an area that a bunch of people converge on and you kind of swap amongst each other, or is it more like one-on-one?
This one is going to be a little different. So in the past, I've had a bigger space. So I'm like, bring whatever you want. Bring a trash bag, and we just like put it on tables, put it on the floor, whatever. This one is a market, so I'm confined to a booth. So it's not as one-on-one, but I'm saying, don't bring as much, just bring a handful of things, because I will have things to buy as well. So it'll be kind of like going through a little thrifty boutique, and then you can swap things if you want to. Um, yeah, it's going to be a little bit smaller and more intimate this time.
Awesome. Great. I love any kind of regenerative or recycle or free cycle. There's a couple stores we go to, Restore, which is like a Habitat for Humanity. Anytime I'm working on a house project, I'm like, I'm gonna go there first and see like what the cheap stuff is. I just bought like wooden dowels for all my plants and trees that I have, and
Mhm.
they're like 77 cents compared to like $3 or $4 at Lowe's and stuff.
That's
Um,
crazy.
and
That's awesome.
it's all like for a nonprofit, benefits Habitat for Humanity. So um, we're my girl actually gets mad at some point because she's like, okay, some stuff we have to like get rid of. Like, I don't want to like,
No!
I don't want to like live in something that looks like trash. And I'm like,
But
okay,
I could use this later, maybe.
yeah. I have a shelf of like avocado
It's
stones that I'm trying to grow into like old jars and stuff. And she's like, all right, when those are done, like we're definitely throwing those away. I'm like, all right, fine, sure.
like, just don't look at it. Just don't look at
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's fine.
Oh,
That's why I made the clothing swap, so I can get rid of, because I get emotional connections to things, and I it'll just hang out in my closet for years, and I'm like, why do I have this? Because I might wear it one day. It's like, no, you will not. You will not wear that. Go give it to somebody else. And you know what? Somebody else is like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and then I see them wearing it out like 3 or 4 times
awesome.
this year. I'm like, it's so great. It's very gratifying to see something that you love like out and about. You're like, oh yeah, somebody is using that now.
Hey, everybody, I want to quickly mention food forest abundance. Food forest abundance is a great way to create your own self sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that and keeping Pensacola closed.
Pensacola.
Nice. So we spoke with Klu recently,
Mhm.
and you are the marketing and creative director of Dizzy Arts.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Dizzy Arts.
So Adam and I met at the beginning of 2021 and fell in love shortly after. And then he broke it to me that he has a creative company and that he needs a whole lot of help. And I'm like, well, I just happen to love graphic design and marketing, and I'm a creative by nature. So I just kind of dipped my toes in, and we started by throwing a lot of local shows. And so I started making show flyers for the different musical events that we were throwing. And then this year, I actually got to throw Galentine's Ball that was hosted by me. And so, like, I did the flyer and hosted, and it was like formal wear, but I ended up wearing like a lingerie top, because it was a hot girl Galentine's Ball, mind you. So I did like lingerie and like a big poofy skirt and Doc Martens, and it was really fun. So after we kind of stopped throwing shows just because it wasn't profitable. And I mean, I don't know if you've noticed like any local shows, it's just kind of it was dwindling like it earlier this year. um, and so we shifted to doing devious discussions, and basically we just interview anybody that we're interested in that we want to know more about. So we just started reaching out to people, and I do all of the devious discussion flyers and the Instagram, and what else do I do? I make all of our merch.
Okay.
What else do I do? I do a lot.
And the
But
Devious Discussions, that's the Twitch show.
that's the Twitch show, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'll make sure that we link to that in the description below, and that's exclusively on Twitch.
It's on Twitch, but we are uploading past interviews onto our YouTube.
Okay, cool.
So you can check those out. We have some from last year and earlier this year. I think we've uploaded till April, April.
Okay, awesome. And how often do you guys do your Twitch streams?
Right now it's like once a week. We don't have a set time. We work around our guest schedule, but we usually stream at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay, awesome. Great. So how's the cannabis scene in Pensacola?
Interesting. It's kind of the way that we were talking about before. People still judge it. Like, you can't walk down the street smoking a J as much as you would like to. I do smell it. around. And in the past I'd be like, oh, that smells so good, but now I'm just kind of more chill about it because it's legal. I'm not like trying to kill anyone's high or make them paranoid, where in the past I'm like, I'm trying to find your weed so I can smoke it with you because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
illegal and I can't freaking find it anywhere. um but yeah, like I moved, right, like I said, I moved here in 2013 and it wasn't legal then, and I couldn't find it anywhere because I was new. And it's cool. It's cool. I'm starting my cannabis job on Monday, so I'll know
Awesome.
more. I'll know more then, and I'm really excited to learn about all the medicinal benefits so I can teach other people. That's what I'm most excited about. So I don't sound stupid when I'm like, yeah, it relaxes me and it helps my appetite. My parents are like, why do you have your med card? I'm like, for those reasons. And they're like, so you want to just get high? I'm like, no, it is medicine.
Trust the science, right?
That's what
Uh,
I'm saying.
yeah. Uh, Oakleigh, it's been great speaking with you. Thanks for coming on the show today. You're going to be back to back with Clues episode. So for those of you watching this, make sure you go check out KluSlim's episode, and you can learn a little more of Dizzy Arts from Clue's side of things. And today we got to speak with Oakleigh, the marketing creative director. Ooak Wear, which is awesome. I love the idea and concept behind it.
Oh, it stands for one of a kind.
Oh, excellent. I figured it had to be something that you wouldn't just be like, throw another O in front of it.
It just kind of worked out that way. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I knew that my clothing brand had to have an oak in there somewhere.
Yeah,
So it was perfect.
excellent. Oakleigh, let everybody know where they can find more of you.
Cool. So you can find me on Instagram at Oak Tree Fairy. Same with Twitter, Oak Tree Fairy. You can follow my clothing Instagram. It's Ooak Wear. And you can find me on YouTube at the Dizzy Arts. Also on Twitch at the Dizzy Arts.
Excellent. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, make sure you go down and smash the like button for Oakleigh. Leave a comment with your favorite part of this episode. And also, you got to make sure you're subscribed to Dro TV, because you would miss great guests like Oakleigh and amazing interviews like this one. So
I gotta go subscribe so I can watch myself.
there you go. That's if there's ever a good reason, that's a good one. So
True. I'll watch Clues because I wasn't down here for it. I went upstairs just to I was doing inventory, so I went upstairs and was like, I'll be surprised. I'll watch it on YouTube. It'll be great.
Excellent. Well, that's it for today, everybody. Thank you much. Thank you to Oakleigh, our guest today. And as always, smoke them if you got them. What's up, Dro TV family? You can now stream the audio version of all these episodes on your favorite podcast player. And if you like more episodes like this, check out this playlist we put together over here for you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on YouTube. You don't want to miss more great content from Dro TV. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, smoke them if you got them.